So good afternoon to you all. My name is Mirtala and I am IFSA Chapter ITESM's president. On behalf of the IFSA Chapter ITESM from Mexico, IFSA ESPOL from Ecuador, and IFSA METU from Turkey, please receive a warm welcome to the Food Innovation Summit 2021, an event that aims to share food trends from around the world in order to understand the changes imposed by innovation in the food industry. And we now invite Maria Laura, President of the IFSA ESPOL chapter, to address us with a welcoming message.
Okay. Hello, everyone. On behalf of IFTSA ESPOL, I would like to extend a warm welcome to our speaker and attendees. I know many of you have taken the time out of your busy schedule and made the effort to be here. We are very excited and proud of having collaborated in organizing this activity with the IFTSA from Mexico and the IFTSA from Turkey. Before we begin, I would like to express my sincere gratitude towards everyone who generously helped us. Without any further introduction, let us begin with our first speaker.
Thank you, Maria Laura, for your message. As our speaker today, we have Fanny Villiers, Director of Operations and co-founder of Microterra. She's originally from France, and she has lived in Mexico since 2014, where she worked as COO of Fondeadora, a crowdfunding platform that was sold to Kickstarter in 2016, and then created and directed Donadora.org as CEO, a leading platform for online donations to social and environmental projects. She joined Microterra in 2019 as co-founder and COO, motivated by the project's ambitious environmental mission and the urgency to bring solutions to the water crisis. She's passionate about social entrepreneurship and business models that generate both impact and utility. She holds an MCS in management from Emilon Business School in Lyon, France, and studied for a semester at the MBA in Mexico City. She's a fellow of the Coaching Fellowship and Common Purposes Sky Blue Leadership Program. Welcome, Fanny. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much, Mirta, Maria Laura, and Irem for the invitation. So I'm very happy to see there are many participants, 58 people connected. So I can't see you all, but thank you very much for being here. It's really an honor to be able to present you what we do at Microterra today, why we do it and how we do it, which I imagine because of the focus of the IFT is probably what will interest you most. So yes, it's going to be a little bit less than an hour talk. Actually, it's going to be shorter because I'd like to leave an open space for question and answers, if it's fine with the organization team. So I'm going to share the presentation. I need you to give me the access to share. At the moment, I can't do it. So yeah, so the talk is going to be about the company, Microterra. I run. Yes, here we are. So let me. Okay, good. Can everybody see the screen? Yes? Okay, great. So the presentation is going to be about Microterra. What we do at Microterra in Mexico is that we develop a multifunctional ingredient out of a plant, the lemna, that cleans water. So the whole presentation is going to be about like our trajectory as a startup, where we are at the moment. How did we come up with the current technology and business model? And also we have like a few slides about like more technically speaking, like what is the ingredient and what's the composition, what's its potential in terms of food science. So my name is Fanny Villiers. As I was introduced, I'm originally from France. My heart really is in Mexico. I've been living here for 8 years. And Microterra is a Mexican company. My partners are Mexicans, and most of our operation at the moment is here. So, as probably most of you know, the reason why, and one of the reasons why we started the company is because of a major problem on the side of the protein demand. right? So there is too much demand in terms of animal protein. It means that there is a huge market opportunity to cover the gap of offer. And the problem is that for every dollar spent on food, the society is paying $2 in health, economic, and environmental costs. So there is an urgent need in solutions to reinvent the way we produce protein in order to regenerate the planet and not destroy it. So the plant-based food industry is a very good solution to that protein challenge. In 2020 alone, it's a market that has grown a lot. More than $3 billion were invested into plant-based food companies. Not only to startups, also major food corporates are producing plant-based food. For example, Danone, it's the biggest alternative dairy producer in the world. So also companies who were traditionally producing animal protein are shifting toward plant-based food. And one of the major challenges to produce plant-based food is the texture. Texture, not without even mentioning the taste, but how can you recreate the texture that normally comes from animal protein? And so what these companies need to reproduce that texture are functional ingredients that will allow them to recreate what's so delicious from milk, from cheese, from food, from meat, from seafood. So they need functional ingredients that are affordable and preferably that are also sustainable. Because if we're going to change the whole food system, it's not to replicate all the issues, all the problems that were created by potentializing the agro-industry with animals, right? So what we do at Microterra is we are developing a functional ingredient for plant-based food, and we produce it in a scalable, affordable, and sustainable way. So how do we do it? We work with an aquatic plant called lemna. It's also known as duckweed or water lentil. It's a free-floating plant that grows at the surface of the water and that has an amazing composition that can be harnessed in order to produce a functional ingredient. So this plant grows in the water. It's transformed then to produce a beige powder. So it's only dried and milled and then decolored. So it's very light in terms of processing. And this final product has a really high nutritional value because we have proved that it has between 35 and 42% protein. It's a very complete protein in terms of amino acid. It has 30% fiber, but also it's a natural texturizer thanks to its pectin content. So 25% pectin means that it's more pectin that you will normally find, for example, in fruits or in chickpea. So the combination of the pectin percentage and the protein brings a lot of functionality opportunities like viscosity, elasticity, also emulsifying. So how do we do that? We developed an IP to process the fresh lemna into that final ingredient, the functional ingredient, in a way that answers the customer's need. So what we listened from the industry is that companies who look for functional ingredients also look for having clean label, less refined ingredients, and preferably natural ingredients. So this is why we developed a process that's really lean. So the lemna is first disinfected and dried. It's milled, so we have the first ingredient, and we'll see that later. It's also an ingredient with interesting market opportunities, which is only the green meal, with the same nutritional and functional properties. Then we have an extraction process to separate the color from the main components of the lemna. And so finally, we have, after the drying process, this decolored lemna flour. So we are now filing a provisional patent. And what's really interesting about this process is it's pretty cost effective because we can recover 95% of the solvent. And we also can imagine future business opportunities with the byproducts coming from the green that's extracted, the green colorants. So how did we come up with that idea? Right, we listened to the industry. When we decided that we saw an opportunity on the environmental part to work with the lemna, we knew that we needed to find like an amazing market opportunity to make sure that all the lemna we were going to produce would be attractive for our future clients. So we connected with many companies as I was saying before, startups, scale-ups, big corporates, also very small initiatives locally in Mexico to understand what were their needs, what were they looking for. So we talked to people producing pet food and also to people producing human food. Of course, the margins are way more interesting on the human part. But the pet food market is growing really fast. And all the vegan trends that are more and more common for human food are also starting to be reflected on the pet food market. So now we have started to send samples to all these companies for them to try the ingredients, and not necessarily to sell directly because we're not quite ready, but to receive the feedback and understand, like, what do they see in it? How do they want to use it? Do they see any challenge? So we are in that phase of testing the product to keep building our sales argumentary, and also to send all this feedback to the lab now, because we're still very early. So we are at time to be in this iteration process where we can listen to some feedback and integrate it in the development. So what's going to be the strategy to get to sell? So as I was saying, like, there is an interesting market for the green lemna, so the product that we can have before the extraction process that we saw on the first slide. And these green lemna, we see we see a lot of potential on the pet food market to use it as a binder ingredient in Mexico. So it's an ingredient, of course, that is way cheaper because it's only the plant, cleaned, dried, and milled. And for the decolored lemna, which is an ingredient that will be much easier to integrate in any type of food because it has no color, it has no taste, so it doesn't alter neither the look or the taste of the foods you're going to prepare with. So we think it's going to take more time. The big market is really the United States, and so we need to go through an FDA approval to be able to sell the ingredient on the US market. So who is the team behind Microterra? So I'm Fanny Villiers. I was already introduced by the organization team. So you know me, I'm in charge of the operations. So I have a business background, and what I did when I entered Microterra was structuring the company, making that project that at the moment was more like a research project, very scientific with the technical team, make a company out of it. And I'm also overseeing all the business development, so creating all the connections with the industry, big companies, startups, scale-ups, governments, universities, to create all the relations that we need to build a team, and also to make sure that we're gonna have clients to sell to once the product is really ready, and once the production capacity is also big enough. And my partner, Marisa Cuevas, who is our CEO, she was the original founder of the company. She's originally an engineer. She studied in Germany, and she did her master's degree in Columbia University in New York. When she was there, she was invited to a program in California called Singularity University. And this is where she came up with the idea. She has always been passionate about circular economy. And so when she came back to Mexico, she decided to start a new project around the water challenges, which are pressing everywhere, very visible here also in Mexico. And it happened that we knew each other from our former companies. So this is how we decided to gather and to move forward with Microterra together. And so today we have a team with people in the science part, in process, a little bit in business. Of course, the technical side is more important. And we've been working with a lot of experts around us because as a startup, there is also a big challenge in terms of budget. You cannot hire everyone you want from the beginning. So we've done a pretty good job at surrounding us with experts who can help us. So some of these experts are Gabriel Wilmot, he works with us on the business strategy. Eduardo Merkovich, he's from Argentina. He has created the biggest lemna cultivation project in South America. Christina Chuck, she's the lead, she's the director of the CIPRO, which is in Tec de Monterrey, the Center for Investigation in Alternative Protein. So we work with Christina and her team on the extraction process. And she's a really important part in advising us in terms of the R&D strategy. And we work also with Pablo Zamora, who's the former Chief Science Officer of NotCo. I imagine you've heard of NotCo. It's one of the first Chilean unicorn, and it's one of the biggest plant-based food companies today. And also we started working with chefs, now people more on the culinary side, to work on the application of the ingredient in real food. So Eloise Villaseca, she works in Spain in a 3-star Michelin restaurant, and she leads the research lab for this restaurant. And Alan Sands, who's a plant-based Michelin star chef based in Los Angeles, gracias madre, and he makes Mexican plant-based food. So it was also like a natural match to work with him. So a bit more about the impact, right? How do we do it? The way we grow Lemna, it's not in our own farms. We grow Lemna in existing fish farms, aqua farms, which make that our ingredient is scalable, affordable, and sustainable. So Lemna is like a small water lily. It's a plant that grows at the surface of the water. And the way it grows, it absorbs in the water the nitrogen and the phosphorus. So it cleans the water. So why do we do it? First, because we can have a very positive impact on the economics of the farmers. We work with fish farmers, so they adopt the cultivation system of the Lemna that we, Microterra, want to produce. And these fish farmers, this way, they sell us the Lemna. They're in charge of the production, and we buy them the biomass. So it increases their net profit by 15 to 25%. And on the other side, we, as Microterra, can ensure a production cost 3 to 5 times cheaper as if we were to do it in our own farm. So we don't need to invest in CapEx, in our own infrastructure. We partner with existing infrastructure, the fish farms, who also have a major water challenge. So it's a sharing economy approach, and it really creates a win-win situation between the fish farmers and Microterra. So it's a scalable model because it can be replicated with very low CapEx, with very low capital investment. So we can, in only 6 farms, produce 360 tons a year. And with investment per farm of $37,000, we can generate almost $1 million in revenue. So these farms, what they have is they produce tilapia. Normally, we work with tilapia farms, which is very common in this region of the world. And these farms, they have major water space where the tilapia grows. But they all the time, they need to replace the water in the fish ponds to maintain the fish healthy. So they normally discharge the wastewater in the rivers down the farms because nobody pays them to do the recycling or to clean the water. So the way we work with them is to create an economic incentive for them to take better care of their water. And so they create with the nutrients that are in the water, this new source of revenue, which is the Lemna. So why is it sustainable? Because we save water and we stop downstream pollution. So the Lemna cultivation system in the farm, it increases the water quality. It reduces the water footprint of aquaculture, but also it reduces operational burden and costs for the fish farmers because of what I mentioned earlier, because by having the Lemna in the same cultivation space as the tilapia, they don't need to renew the water in their ponds as often as if nothing were to absorb the excess of nutrients. So what about the Lemna environment? We consider we're ahead of other Lemna competitors because of this Airbnb model. Because when you want to create the Lemna metrics for the growth depends on the surface, on the area you're going to have to grow the Lemna. So if you want to start a Lemna farm from scratch, you need a lot of land, you need a lot of water, and you need the technology to make sure you have like constant water inflow and nutrients inflow to grow the Lemna. So how we do it, we partner with farms who already have all that, which are the tilapia farms. So this is why we can have a production cost way cheaper than what other Lemna companies would have. However, there are more and more like technology developed by these companies. And we see it as a really successful thing, as something really positive, because the more companies will promote the Lemna, will promote it for other companies to integrate in their food, the more the industry will grow. So we can see recently like really good milestones achieved by some of these competitors, and we're pretty happy with it because the more it happens, the more benefit it's going to be even for Microterra. So what are we going to substitute with our ingredients? We see it as a perfect substitute to highly criticized biodegradable ingredients. So you're probably really familiarized with the hydrocolloids family and all the different types of gums. So these ingredients have many problems. Some of them are really expensive, like pure pectin, and it's a really volatile price. But some of them, even if they're cheaper, are really criticized. We can take, for example, the example of the carrageenan in gum. It's been banned by the USDA Organic since 2016, and it's really criticized because of the inflammatory problem for the digestive tract that it causes. So we can see more and more marketing, especially in the United States, about products that are gums-free. So this is where we really see an opportunity at positioning a natural binder that's going to bring, even if it's not going to be a one-to-one substitution, that will be able to replace all these type of ingredients that are highly criticized. So where are we now and what happened in the last year? So in November last year, we had the idea, we had like a theoretical case on how to grow the lemna and what we could do with it. So we needed money, so we raised a pre-seed round. Then in January this year, we started a pilot in a fish farm. A few months after, we had already the first prototype for the green lemna meal for pet food. This product is really well received by dogs. The taste is really appreciated. So super interesting because exactly the taste that we want to remove for human food is really attractive to dogs. So there is something really interesting that we're going to be able to do there. In March, we had a first prototype on the remotion of the color and the taste to develop the human product. And in April, we expanded the production to 2 new farms. As a decentralized model, it was really essential to be able to demonstrate that we could produce the lemna in different farms, in different spaces, and it's happening. All the farms we currently have are in Veracruz, Mexico. In May, we started selling sample to customers, some of them restaurants, some of them pet food producers, and some of them ingredient distributors. And at the end of May, we've thrown a few tastings, some of them in San Francisco, in New York, and in Ciudad de Mexico, to start receiving feedback from direct consumers to understand like, how does it taste? How do you look? How do you like it? Do you think it looks good? And the results were pretty positive. We worked with different chefs, some plant-based food specialists and some not, to start producing like, empirical research and see like what's going to be the best way to integrate it in the food. And during the whole first semester of 2021, we participated in an acceleration program in New York called IndieBio, which is quite a good program. They're backed by a big venture capital fund, and they have a really good network of investors. And it's an acceleration program specialized for biotech companies. So we were with them for 4 months, and in June we had a presentation to all their networks, and this event opened the seed round that we've done during the summer to raise $2 million to be ready to expand the production, right? So the first part of the year was really to demonstrate at a small scale what we could do. And with these results, we were able to invite more investors to join the project, the company, and in order to expand. So the goal from now to the end of the year is to have 6 farms producing and to be ready to sell. And by the end of next year, we want to be producing lemna in 20 farms and be already selling in all Mexico. So our vision is really to create ingredients and hopefully soon food that instead of using water are cleaning water. I imagine that you've seen like all types of communication and marketing saying that a product is absorbing carbon, for example. And we really think that the marketing around water in terms of impact is the next thing. So it's going to be a metric that's going to be more and more watched because the water scarcity is such a major problem that's going to affect us at so many levels that we think that for the development of this new ingredient, it's not going to be only like an environmental like side fascination. It's going to be something that really adds value to the product and be a good sales argument to integrate in this new type of food. So this is it. So this is us. This is our product, the green lemna meal. We do it to power the plant-based future. And I think I have a few more slides that can be interesting for you guys. First would be like, yeah, a clearer view of the production process. So first, we have the fresh lemna that is produced in the farm. The lemna from the water is harvested and cleaned. Then it's dried. Then we transport it to a milling facility. And from the milling facility, we have the lemna meal, which is the first ingredient. And then from the lemna meal, we can do the color and the taste extraction. And we have the decolored lemna meal, which is the second ingredient. And finally, this is our spec sheet on the green lemna meal. So we have like spent most of the lab time of one lab this semester to characterize the ingredients. So these values that we've seen on the first slide, the pectin, the protein, and the fiber content. We also have all the detail on the nutritional value, what's the fiber and also the amino acids typical that are found in the protein and the amino acid score. So this is something that's constantly evolving because we're like going deeper and deeper and deeper in this characterization. As you've seen, like we've been working on that project for 1 year. But with this information, we've already been able like to convince many people of the interest of the ingredient, and the answer is so positive that we're really impatient to go like deeper and also analyzing the functionality types that we're gonna be able to propose with the lemna. So pretty much this is it. I would love to listen to your thoughts, any questions. Happy to answer.
Thank you so much for sharing this valuable information with all of us. If anyone has any questions, you can now activate your microphones and speak directly to our speaker, or you can send it into a chat and we will read them.
Yes. I can also like get back to the presentation and there is like a little bit more information about the model, the production model especially. So in the future we have like, we're already thinking about what else are we gonna be able to do with the lemna, no? Because as I imagine now, like you understood, we produce lemna to clean water, and out of this lemna, we're looking for the best possible opportunities in the food system to generate like enough revenue to have a very strong economic incentive for the farms to clean their water. So we're constantly thinking, okay, we have this gold mine, this plant with amazing properties. What can we do with it? So the first like IP opportunity that we've seen is to remove the color and the taste, to pass from a green powder to beige powder, which is much easier to integrate in the food. But because of the composition of the lemna, we also think we can extract gelling agents, which will be a combination of protein and pectin, which is something that's very much looked for, especially for the plant-based food. And the other opportunity would be to isolate the protein. So the protein isolate are very often made out of soy, also more and more made out of pea. So these products, especially of soy, are very much criticized because of the allergies that come from soy. So there is a big market to replace the soy protein isolate. It's a process that's much more complicated than what we going to start doing with the color and taste removal. But because of the protein content and the quality of the proteins inside, there is a lot that can be done. So we're already dreaming about all this part, but you know, like we have to start by something really like concrete and demonstrate that we can do it before engaging into more ambitious and complex processes. So a bit more about where we do it, right? So the farms. So we have visited many farms in Mexico. I think here we have like a map. So we've made like a mapping of the farms, the tilapia farms in Mexico, where it would be like more interesting to install. No? So it's a very interesting industry that has been a little bit forbidden, I think, by like the authorities, and they're not really well like organized together. But there is something really interesting that we learned by talking with fish farmers. We thought that the water for them was not an issue because they wouldn't really care about protecting the environment down their farms. Not because they don't care, just because they can't afford it. And finally, we realized that the water is the most strategic resource for them. They need to ensure a constant quality fresh water inflow to their farms to make sure they're going to be able to grow fish in a healthy way. So offering them a solution to clean their water directly inside without adding any cost is really revolutionary for them. So the answer from the fish farms has been really positive. As I was saying, like, our key next steps in this semester are going to be like to expand to 6 farms in Veracruz here, and then by next year like go to Tabasco, which is a really important region where there are many farms who match with the kind of type of farm that we need to work with. And in terms of impact, what I really like about our model is that the more lemna we can produce and sell, the more water we can clean and save. So the impact is directly linked to the production capacity and the success, let's say, of the company. So we really like work according to 3 of the SDGs, 2, which is zero hunger, by developing an ingredient that is going to be useful to strengthen the plant-based food economy in an affordable way. So plant-based food is not only like high-end food for vegan people who want to do it like because of their beliefs, but people who can afford buying a Beyond Meat burger. Now, we really want to democratize it and have an ingredient that can serve for plant-based food for anyone. And also because fish farming, when done in a sustainable way, is actually the cleanest way of producing animal protein. So there is also something about hunger here that's really important. Clean water and sanitation, I think it's pretty straightforward. We do this for the water, to clean the wastewater that charge off nutrients that come from fish manure, and to protect the waterways down the farm, going from the river to the lakes and eventually the ocean. And life below water is also because by promoting the creation of new type of food or sustainable fish farming, well, we can prevent more easily overfishing, and so it protects life below water. And also the excess of nutrients, if it's recycled directly in the farm and doesn't end up in the ocean, well, it's also like pollution that won't affect life below water. So as I was saying, we've been in touch with many farmers. There are already 12 farmers who want to implement our system. It's been tremendous to get in touch with them. We've learned a lot also from them. And what's amazing is that most fish farmers in Mexico already knew the lemna. Like they already saw it. It's a plant that naturally grows in the regions where we are or we want to go, like Tabasco, like Veracruz, but also like Jalisco. And so farmers know the lemna, they just don't know what to do with it. So it's something pretty positive for us. We're not going to integrate to these ecosystems something completely new, but we're going to like harness the potential of a plant that naturally grows in these environments. All this, I think we've already talked about it, but this way, for those who don't know the plant, you can see like how it looks like. So it's really like a lentil, like it's like a really small water lily with roots that are in the water. And it's really nice, like really like it. There are many different strains who also like produce different colors. The dominant color is normally green, but there is a strain that has in the lower parts a lot of anthocyanin. So it produces a lot of pink pigments, and we're now investigating what we can do with this new pigment. Yes, I think this is it. any question, any reflection from the organization team, or maybe any topic that you'd like to talk about. There is a question. Do you know that the ingredient then clean water, and how does it clean the water? It's a really good question. Thank you, Jose Alberto. So aquaponics is actually pretty common. So there is a lot of the aquaponic production is made to do lettuce, also to do fresh greens, or to do herbs like mint, like basil, I think maybe parsley, I'm not sure. So the way it normally works, the aquaponic farm, so they have the fish in behind, and so they use the fish to produce the nutrients needed to then produce the lettuce or the herbs. So this plant, what's very interesting is that they install normally the fish production to ensure the water and the nutrients inflow needed to grow the lettuce or the herbs or whatever. In our case, it's a bit different because we are using farms that are already installed this way. So our goal is really to build the least possible infrastructure to make it really accessible for the farmers to adopt it. No? So yes, I say like the aquaponics products are the one who we can categorize this way, that clean water. But if you have any other reference, someone in the public has any other idea, happy to hear it. Is the last form supposed to be green or decolored? I am a little bit confused about that. Okay, so the last form, if you think of it in terms of the production process, is decolored. When we grow the lemna in the farm, and I can get back to sharing my screen, where it is. A ver. Here it is. So we produce the fresh lemna. So the fresh lemna is produced in the water and is green. The plant is green. Then it's harvested and dried, it's milled, and then we have this first ingredient, which is the green lemna meal. Out of this green lemna meal, we produce the decolored lemna meal because we extract the color, we extract the chlorophyll, actually. So by extracting the chlorophyll, it also reduces dramatically the taste. So it makes an ingredient with the same nutritional and functional properties. We can preserve all that's in the lemna by only extracting the chlorophyll, and so removing the color and the taste. So to answer your question, the first product is the green lemna meal, and the second one is the decolored. But we need to produce the green one to get to the decolored one.
We have another question. Does heat affect the properties of the ingredient for like when thinking of new products in the future?
Yes, definitely. So from our experiments, the drying process is really key to preserve, especially the protein content. So we've made all different types of tests on the drying part. We're going to develop our own dryers, actually. We're now like in the process of designing it. And the type of drying, so if it's steady or if it's rotatory, and also the temperature and the timing is really key. If it's burnt, for example, it's going to lose its properties. And also the color is going to be different. It's going to be more complicated to extract afterward. And the protein, which is one of the main components, most attractive for the nutritional part, is really affected by the heat, by the temperature. Now, when we do the color and extraction process, the color and taste extraction process, there is also another drying phase, right? Because by using the solvent to do the extraction, then we have to dry it again. So there is, this is something that's going to happen in a different space, in the space where we do the extraction. And here again, the temperature is really key. When we do the process with the solvent, the temperature grows a lot, but it's wet, so it's a different impact.
Well, if there isn't any more questions, we would like to thank you so much, Fanny, for your very valuable and interesting lecture. On behalf of the student group IFSA Tec de Monterrey chapter, IFSA ESPOL chapter, and IFSA METU, we present you with this recognition as a token of our appreciation for your talk.
Thank you so much, Marta, and thank you to the whole team. I can see there is another question. Why tilapia companies? That is because there are many in Mexico. So the original idea, the root ambition of Microterra was to absorb the nutrient, to recycle the nutrients that come in wastewater from agriculture in general, because agriculture is one of the most one of the major threats for our water resources because of the rest of fish manure and fertilizers. So when we started to see what was the composition of this wastewater, how was it made, we realized that in the space of aquaculture, of fish farming, the wastewater was actually pretty standard. And it was, of course, full of nutrients, with a great excess of nutrients, but not much more. And because the lemna is a plant that absorbs everything, we cannot grow it in any type of wastewater. If there is heavy metals, if there are a lot of bacteria, it's going to be absorbed by the plant also. So if we want to monetize the plant on the other side as a food ingredient, it needs to be, it cannot be any type of dirt. So this is why fish farming wastewater was ideal to start all this circular economy recycling model, because the type of wastewater in fish farm is technically easier than if we wanted to do it, for example, with co-farms. Then why tilapia? Because tilapia is the major with shrimp production in Mexico. Tilapia farms are growing a lot. Tilapia is also one of the cheapest fin fish in the world. So it's a really good bet if we want to democratize fish farming in a more sustainable way, because there are so many farms and it's one of the most consumed fin fish. And in Mexico, there are many tilapia farms. Like the tilapia production is more or less equivalent to the shrimp farm. Shrimp, however, grow mostly in Mexico in brackish water. So it was not ideal to start with the lemna production, because lemna is a freshwater plant. So yes, tilapia ended up being the best possible space. And also when we started investigating, we realized it was an industry in Mexico that needed a lot of push. There were a great opportunity to bring new solutions to the farmers without selling them anything, by partnering with them, because they really don't have the incentives to do their production in a more sustainable way. And this is what we wanted to do with our model, have a real impact by changing the way they treat their water. Any other questions? Any comments? I would love to hear people from Turkey, what do you see in this? Do you think it's something that could be, I know a little bit about Ecuador already. Also, there are some comments about Ecuador. I know there are many farms. I know it's more shrimp, but if you think there can be opportunities, happy to hear it. And also Turkey, and on that side, Turkey, I have really few references, so happy to hear any comments if you have some. Well, if not, I can leave you in the chat, or I think maybe you can send it later, our webpage. We also present in social networks on LinkedIn and on Instagram mainly. We're also in a phase where the team is going to grow. So we are building the food science team. We're going to hire a head of food science in the next few months. And this person is going to hire a team of junior scientists. So we already are working with a few from Monterrey, actually. But if also at some point you're looking for job opportunities, be sure that this is really a central topic for Microterra, developing new ingredients out of the lemna, developing applications to make sure we can sell it to the right person at the right price. So there is a lot to do. And if you're interested, feel free to send your curriculum or just reach out if you want to chat with me and just like meet each other and see what we could do in the future. Another question, here in Ecuador, the seafood Camarón is like tilapia in Mexico. Would it be a next industry in adopt lemna? You mean the shrimp industry? It could be. We would need to use different strains because the strain that we use now are freshwater strains. We know that there are strains that thrive also in brackish water. Also, Camarón, there are a few challenges about how it grows. The shrimps don't support the shade, whereas for the tilapia, the shade that the lemna carpet produces is really positive. So it's something that we need to think a bit differently. So probably tilapia will remain like the best type of farm for us to work with. And we know that the countries in Latin America where it's more active is Brazil and Colombia. So probably would be more these two countries, but we've already been in touch with a few producers in Ecuador, especially feed producers who know really well the industry. And from them, we learned that the shade was not an option, that it was, even if it was freshwater, it could be complicated. So yes, let's see. Hopefully Ecuador at some point. To be completely honest, I think it will be Brazil and Colombia first, but let's see. We apologize for the internet. Oh, well, I hope you could hear some of the talk. And I think it was recorded also. So hopefully you'll be able to see it again if you want to. And also I can leave you my email if you want to reach out, if you have more questions. Also, we've been working a lot with students from the Tec de Monterrey, from IBT in Mexico, also with business students in the US, agriculture students. So we always like super open to work on internships, volunteering projects, or if you need to study, like to do a case study for a class, we're really used to that. So it's always a pleasure to collaborate with students, the academy in general, interested in what we do. And if it brings value, even better.
So I think we've now reached the end of our first day of the Food Innovation Summit. Before we leave, we'd like to take a picture with all of you. So we'd appreciate if you could turn on your cameras for just a moment, those of you who could. I'll take the picture now. Ready. Okay. Thank you so very much. We invite you to attend tomorrow's lecture by Sami Hakim, who will talk to us about functional foods. And thank you so much for coming. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Fanny.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.